Hello again, everyone. I decided to go on a little hiatus from video making for about 2 weeks, which was very refreshing, but I'm really excited to be back doing this again because there's just something that's really fun about it. But during that time, I was looking over some of my older videos, and I was looking at specifically the video I made about Facebook about a month ago now. And I realized that some of the conclusions I came to were kind of extreme, but even more than that, I didn't really analyze anything that was going on with the Facebook changes. I kind of just stated them and then provided a reaction, which is kind of counter to what I like to do and the reason that I like to make these videos. So I decided to give it a second shot, both for the people that saw my first video and those that didn't. So here we go. Take two. So a little bit over a month ago, very soon after Facebook's IPO, Facebook introduced some changes to how their likes and pages work. And the primary purpose of these changes was to give them new ways to make money without needing people to browse Facebook on a desktop where the ads are. Now, the reason I find this interesting and worth talking about twice is that the ways that they changed the service sort of broke some functionalities in some ways that Facebook works, which may not mean the death of the company or the death of the users, but is really interesting to observe as one approach to trying to be profitable in a very mobile-driven age. Okay, so one way that Facebook has monetized in the past is through selling advertising to page owners. As a user of Facebook, these generally show up as little ads in the sidebar sort of deal area. Now, the problem with this is that these kind of advertisements do not work on mobile devices. When you click on an ad on a desktop or a laptop, you can generally move it to the side and sort of multitask and read an ad or read an offer while doing what you were doing initially. Most phones and tablets can only do one thing at a time. So when you click on an ad, it pulls you completely out of what you're doing and puts you somewhere else. People who use smartphones and tablets a lot have sort of gotten wise to this, and as a result, don't really click ads that often, at least in comparison to desktop and laptop ads. So about a month ago, Facebook introduced two sort of new advertising models that aren't hemmed in by these desktop-laptop limitations. So the first of these two new approaches was basically selling like notifications. For a long time, Facebook's newsfeed has featured not only things that people post as statuses that they upload as photos, but also things that they like. And up till now, those like notifications have been limited to things that are happening in the present. So you only see a like notification for a page if your friend has just liked it. You don't see it months later. So what Facebook's done is they've taken that pool of pages that all these different people like, and they're trying to sell back to pages that whole like notification sort of thing with a little bit of advertising attached beneath it. And this is similar enough to the like notifications that we're all used to on Facebook that it passes as content in the newsfeed. But the interesting thing here, the thing that changes how the service works on a base function level, is that these like notifications no longer have to be current. So whereas in the past, a like notification gave you a sense or an indication of what someone was getting into right now, with the introduction of this monetization model, you really don't know whether someone is currently into a page or a band or an idea or whatever, or they just clicked like at some point in the last 5 years. Now, what are the implications of this? Interestingly enough, even though these notifications are kind of annoying, my eyes, after a few weeks of them being there, sort of skip past them when I'm reading. And don't get me wrong, I do see them, and they're probably more effective than the sidebar ads, but they're not as annoying or seemingly intrusive as they first were when they came out. But what has changed is when I do see like notifications, I don't value them in the same way that I did before. Because essentially I see them now as advertising and not as content. And funnily enough, the people that would care about this the most are the page owners. Because for a while, a strategy of trying to get exposure for your brand, to get more people engaging with your brand, was basically viral marketing via these like notifications. Since the notifications were both current and were unsponsored, users treated them as real content and would actually go and visit sometimes the pages that their friends visited. And so you could get some momentum of users interacting because they've seen that other users are interacting. So that's no longer there. So the viral marketing aspect of likes is kind of gone. Now for a page owner, the overarching draw of getting those likes in the first place is to sort of be able to reach into users' news feeds and put your content and your information in with their friends' status updates and, all that sort of stuff. And the second monetization strategy that Facebook implemented affects this draw. Now, some time ago, the numbers came out that Facebook's newsfeed filtering system actually causes what you write, just as a normal user on Facebook, to be shown to a very small percentage of your friends. But it's kind of hard to gauge because Facebook hasn't in the past revealed what these numbers were. But for pages now, there's statistics beneath every post that you make that say how many people saw it or were exposed to it. And with this, Facebook is trying to sell you more views from the people who like your page, so that a larger proportion of the people who have liked your page see what you write. Now, this seems pretty bad for page owners in the sense that it's creating a hierarchy of value and prominence based on the amount of money that a page is willing to pay Facebook. But the thing that remains unclear is whether pages that don't pay have had their views cut down after the introduction of this program, or if they're just staying at the same level and they've always been relatively low. But regardless, the gesture made many Facebook pages mad. And what's yet to be seen is whether the people that got mad are the people that are paying for the sidebar ads and like notification ads on Facebook. As more and more of our time is spent on free applications and services on these devices that can only do really one thing at a time, we may very well reach a point where the viability of banner advertising is pretty much nil. And so we're gonna need to develop new advertising methods specifically targeted at this medium to maintain the free intranet. And making the changes that Facebook recently has, they're trying to do that, and for that, I commend them. But it's worth noting that the changes that they made substantially affect Facebook's relationship with the pages that pay for advertising on the site. So Facebook may no longer be as valuable as a platform to musicians and artists and all those people that make pages as it was before. But at this point, the number of people that are on the service still make it very relevant. If another service arises that has a comparable user base to Facebook, Facebook could lose a lot of its page owners largely due to these changes. That's all for now. As always, this is Jacke Karashae wishing you the best of weeks.